the book that predicted modern global conflicts. What if the biggest conflicts of the future are not about territory, oil, or political ideology? What if the real dividing lines of the modern world are cultural, religious, and civilizational? For much of the 20th century, the world was shaped by the struggle between capitalism and communism. Nations aligned themselves with competing ideologies, and global politics revolved around the Cold War. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, many believed that liberal democracy had won the final battle of history. Samuel Huntington disagreed. He argued that a new era was beginning, an era in which civilizations, not ideologies, would become the primary actors in world affairs. This book explores a powerful question: who are we? And how does our identity shape the future of global politics? Welcome to the book The Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order. The book was originally published in 1996. This groundbreaking work challenged many of the assumptions that dominated international relations after the Cold War. Huntington believed that cultural identity was becoming more important than ever. As globalization connected people across borders, it also made them more conscious of their differences. According to the author, humanity is not simply divided into countries. Instead, it is organized into larger cultural communities called civilizations. A civilization represents the highest level of cultural identity. It includes shared history, language, traditions, values, and often religion. The author identifies several major civilizations, including Western, Islamic, Sinic or Chinese, Hindu, Orthodox, Japanese, Latin American, and African civilizations. Huntington argues that understanding these civilizations is essential for understanding the future of world politics. Whether one agrees with his conclusions or not, his ideas have influenced scholars, diplomats, military strategists, and policymakers around the globe. Now, let us explore the first part of the book. Part 1: A World of Civilizations. The first part lays the foundation for Huntington's entire argument. He begins by explaining that the Cold War world has ended. During the Cold War, ideological divisions defined international politics. Countries were classified according to whether they supported capitalism or communism. However, after the Cold War, these ideological categories lost much of their importance. Instead, Huntington observes that people increasingly define themselves through culture, religion, ethnicity, and historical experience. In Chapter 1, he describes the emergence of a new era in world politics. Nations continue to exist, but cultural identity becomes a more powerful force in shaping alliances and conflicts. In Chapter 2, Huntington examines the meaning of civilization. He argues that civilizations are the broadest cultural groupings to which people belong. They are larger than nations and often survive for centuries. Civilizations rise, evolve, interact, and sometimes compete with one another. Understanding them, he says, is essential for understanding international relations. In Chapter 3, Huntington challenges the idea that the entire world is gradually becoming Western. Modernization, he argues, does not automatically lead to Westernization. A country may adopt modern technology, industrial development, and economic growth while still preserving its own culture, traditions, and values. As non-Western societies become stronger economically and politically, they often seek to revive and strengthen their own cultural identities rather than imitate the West. The central message of Part 1 is clear. The world is entering a new phase of history. To understand global politics, we must look beyond states and ideologies and pay attention to civilizations, the deepest and most enduring identities of human societies. In the next part, we will examine how the balance of power among civilizations is changing and what that means for the future world order. Part 2: The Shifting Balance of Civilizations. As the 20th century drew to a close, a profound transformation was taking place across the world. For centuries, Western civilization had occupied a dominant position in global affairs. Western powers controlled vast territories, influenced international institutions, and led the world in science, technology, economics, and military strength. But according to Samuel Huntington, This period of overwhelming Western dominance was not permanent. In part 2 of the book, Huntington argues that the balance of power among civilizations is gradually shifting. The West remains powerful, but its relative share of global influence is declining as other civilizations gain strength and confidence. Huntington points out that throughout history, no civilization has remained dominant forever. Power rises, peaks, and eventually faces challenges from emerging competitors. As countries across Asia, the Middle East, and other regions modernize and develop, economically, they acquire greater political influence and become less dependent on Western nations. One of the most significant developments identified by Huntington is the rise of what he calls challenger civilizations. Among these, the rapid growth of China receives particular attention. Economic expansion, technological advancement, and increasing international influence have enabled China to emerge as a major global actor. At the same time, many Islamic societies have experienced cultural and religious revival. Huntington observes that modernization in these societies has often strengthened cultural identity, rather than weakened it. Instead of becoming more Western, many populations have sought to reaffirm their own traditions, beliefs, and historical heritage. The author introduces an important distinction between modernization and westernization. Modernization refers to economic development, industrial growth, education, and technological progress. Westernization, however, involves adopting Western cultural values and social norms. According to Huntington, these two processes are not the same. A society can become modern without becoming Western. Japan, China, India, and many other nations have demonstrated that economic and technological advancement can coexist with distinct cultural identities. Another major factor shaping the future, Huntington argues, is demography. Population growth can significantly influence the balance of power among civilizations. Regions with large and youthful populations often possess greater economic potential, larger labor forces, and increased political significance. Demographic trends, therefore, become an important component of global change. As Western societies face slower population growth, other regions continue to expand and gain influence on the world stage. The central message of Part 2 is straightforward but significant. The modern world is becoming increasingly multipolar and multicultural. The era in which one civilization could dominate global affairs without challenge is gradually coming to an end. New centers of power are emerging, and civilizations outside the West are becoming more confident in their identities and aspirations. For Huntington, understanding this shift is essential for understanding the politics of the 21st century. In the next part, we will explore how these changing power relationships are reshaping the international order and creating a new global landscape defined by civilizations. Part 3. THE Emerging Order of Civilizations. As civilizations grow in influence and confidence, the structure of world politics begins to change. According to Samuel Huntington, the post-Cold War era is not evolving toward a single global culture or a universal political system. Instead, the world is becoming organized around civilizations. In Part 3 of the book, Huntington explores how this new international order is taking shape. He argues that countries increasingly define their interests and alliances according to cultural and civilizational ties. Nations that share a common history, religion, language, or cultural heritage often find it easier to cooperate with one another. As a result, civilizations become important frameworks through which states understand both friends and rivals. One of Huntington's key observations is that cultural identity is becoming a powerful force in international relations. People may belong to different countries, but they often feel connected to broader civilizational communities that transcend national borders. These shared identities influence diplomacy, economic partnerships, regional organizations, and political cooperation. The author also introduces the concept of core states. A core state is a powerful country that serves as the leading or central actor within a civilization. Such states often provide leadership, influence regional affairs, and help shape the direction of their broader cultural community. For example, Huntington views the United States as a core state of Western civilization, while China occupies a similar position within the Sinic civilization. Core states possess the political, economic, military, or cultural strength necessary to influence neighboring societies that share a similar civilizational identity. Huntington argues that these core states play a crucial role in maintaining order within their respective civilizations. When tensions arise, core states may act as mediators, leaders, or representatives of broader civilizational interests. At the same time, relations between different civilizations become increasingly important. International politics is no longer defined primarily by ideological competition, as it was during the Cold War. Instead, interactions among civilizations become a central feature of global affairs. This emerging order is neither entirely cooperative nor entirely conflictual. Civilizations may collaborate in areas of mutual interest while still competing over influence, values, and strategic objectives. As economic globalization continues, civilizations become more interconnected than ever before. Yet, increased interaction does not necessarily eliminate differences. In some cases, closer contact makes cultural distinctions more visible and strengthens awareness of unique identities. The result is a world that is simultaneously connected and divided, connected through trade, technology, and communication. Divided by differing histories, beliefs, traditions, and cultural perspectives. The central message of Part 3 is that a new international order is emerging, one shaped not only by states and institutions, but also by civilizations and their core powers. Understanding these civilizational relationships, Huntington argues, is essential for understanding the opportunities and challenges of the modern world. In the next part, we will examine what happens when civilizations come into direct competition, and why Huntington believed that many future conflicts would occur along civilizational fault lines. Part 4: Clashes of Civilizations. Up to this point, Samuel Huntington has argued that civilizations are becoming the primary actors in world politics, and that global power is gradually shifting among them. But what happens when civilizations interact, compete, and collide? This question forms the core of Part 4, the most influential and controversial section of the book. Huntington argues that future conflicts are increasingly likely to occur along what he calls civilizational fault lines. Just as geological fault lines mark the boundaries between tectonic plates, civilizational fault lines represent the boundaries between different cultures, religions, and historical traditions. Where these boundaries meet, tensions can emerge. According to Huntington, many of the conflicts of the post-Cold War world are not simply struggles over territory or resources. They are also conflicts involving identity, values, and cultural belonging. One of the major themes of this section is the relationship between the West and the rest. For centuries, Western civilization exercised enormous influence over global affairs. However, as other civilizations gain confidence and power, challenges to Western political, economic, and cultural dominance become more visible. Huntington argues that disagreements between civilizations often stem from deeply rooted differences in history, religion, social values, and worldviews. Because these differences are connected to identity, they can be more difficult to resolve than disputes based solely on economics or ideology. The author also examines the growing role of cultural consciousness in international politics. As globalization brings societies closer together, people become more aware of who they are and what distinguishes them from others. In many regions, cultural and religious identities experience a revival, strengthening feelings of belonging to a particular civilization. Huntington further explores what he calls fault line wars. These conflicts often occur between neighboring groups that belong to different civilizations. Such struggles may begin as local disputes, but they can expand when related states, organizations, or populations become involved. As a result, a conflict between two communities can gradually attract support from others who share the same cultural or religious identity. The author suggests that these patterns help explain why certain regional conflicts persist for long periods and often prove difficult to resolve. Yet Huntington does not argue that conflict between civilizations is inevitable. Rather, he warns that leaders and policymakers must recognize the importance of cultural realities. Ignoring civilizational differences, he believes, can lead to misunderstanding, mistrust, and instability. The central message of Part 4 is both simple and profound. In the modern world, culture matters. Religion matters. Identity matters. And many of the most significant political challenges of the 21st century cannot be understood without considering the civilizations to which people feel they belong. Whether one agrees with Huntington's conclusions or not, this section raises important questions about the relationship between culture, power, and conflict in an increasingly interconnected world. In the final part of the book, we will explore Huntington's vision for the future and examine what role civilizations may play in shaping the global order of the 21st century. Part 5, The Future of Civilizations. As we arrive at the final part of the Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order, Samuel Huntington turns his attention to the future. Having examined the rise of civilizations, the shifting balance of power, and the potential conflict along cultural fault lines, he now asks a fundamental question. What kind of world lies ahead? Huntington argues that the future of international relations will depend largely on how civilizations interact with one another. The world, he believes, is becoming increasingly interconnected through trade, technology, communication, and globalization. Yet, at the same time, cultural identities remain powerful and enduring. People may adopt new technologies, participate in global markets, and communicate across continents, but they continue to draw meaning from their history, religion, traditions, and civilization. According to Huntington, one of the greatest challenges facing the modern world is managing diversity without attempting to eliminate it. He rejects the idea that all societies will eventually adopt the same values, political systems, or cultural practices. Instead, he envisions a world composed of multiple civilizations, each following its own historical path while sharing the same global space. In this environment, mutual understanding becomes increasingly important. Civilizations do not have to become identical in order to coexist peacefully. However, they must recognize and respect their differences. Huntington warns that attempts by one civilization to impose its values or institutions upon others may generate resistance and deepen tensions. For this reason, he argues that stability requires wisdom, restraint, and an appreciation of cultural realities. The author also emphasizes the responsibility of major powers and core states. Because of their influence, these nations play a critical role in either reducing tensions, intensifying them. Their decisions can shape the relationships between civilizations and affect the prospects of peace and cooperation. Ultimately, Huntington's vision is neither entirely pessimistic nor entirely optimistic. He does not claim that conflict is unavoidable, nor does he predict a future of universal harmony. Instead, he presents a world in which cooperation and competition exist side by side. The outcome depends on how societies understand themselves and how they respond to those who are different from them. Conclusion. The Clash of Civilizations remains one of the most discussed and debated books in international relations. Supporters argue that it anticipated many of the cultural and geopolitical tensions that emerged after the Cold War. Critics contend that it oversimplifies complex societies and places too much emphasis on civilizational divisions. Yet, regardless of where one stands, the book raises questions that continue to shape contemporary debates. How important is culture in world politics? Can different civilizations coexist peacefully while preserving their unique identities? And what happens when globalization brings diverse societies into ever closer contact? More than 2 decades after its publication, these questions remain as relevant as ever. The central lesson of this book is not simply that civilizations may clash. Rather, it is that civilizations matter. To understand the modern world, we must understand the histories, beliefs, values, and identities that shape human societies. Only then can we better comprehend both the conflicts and the opportunities that define our prophet's shared future. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary of The Clash of Civilizations and the Watching. Remaking of World Order by Samuel Huntington. If you found this exploration insightful, subscribe to 360 Book Wisdom for more journeys through the world's most influential books. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep seeking wisdom.